This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on significance of Conference of Governors in strengthening cooperative federalism. The participants are Vinay Kumar, political analyst, and Vaibhav J. Srivastava, anchor.
India is aiming to become a $5 trillion economy, which will further its vision of a developed India, a Viksit Bharat till 2047. Proper and inclusive planning and implementation of ideas and policies will be crucial for this target. One such important measure in this journey is the Conference of Governors, which was recently concluded at the historic Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. It was presided over by the Honorable President Srimati Draupadi Murmu, along with august presence of the Honorable Vice President Shri Jagdeep Dhankar, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, Honorable Union Home Minister Shri Amit Shah, and other Honorable Governors of states and high-ranking administrative officials. In today's discussion on the topic of Conference of Governors in Strengthening Cooperative Federalism, we have with us Senior Political Analyst Shri Vinay Kumar. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, for our audiences, could you please explain what is the Conference of Governors and what has been its history and its historical significance?
Vaibhav, if we see, the first such conference was held in 1949, soon after we gained independence, and then C. Rajagopalachari presided over it. So far, 51 such conferences have been held, Governors' Conference, and this was the 52nd conference. These are held once in 2 years and presided over by the President of India, held at Rashtrapati Bhavan, and all governors from the states and union territories, they participate in it. And this is a brainstorming, new ideas, new suggestions, new recommendations are come to the surface because various subgroups of governors are being formed to come up with ideas how a state can have better governance system which is connected to the common people, and what are the problems in public welfare schemes implementation, how these sections which are deprived, downtrodden, which don't get the delivery of government schemes, the last mile connectivity, all these ideas are discussed in such conferences, and these recommendations are then deliberated upon. And these conferences are President Draupadi Murmu addressed this conference. The highlight is her address and her stress on inclusive development. Prime Minister Modi also addressed the conference. He made governors realize that they are a bridge between center and states. So all these important points and important agenda in smooth governance between center and states, as Prime Minister Modi hinted that governors can act as a bridge between the center and the states. That is the highlight of this conference, 52nd conference, which was presided over by Honorable President Draupadi Murmu. These ideas and suggestions are implemented at various levels by Raj Bhavans across the country, and they help center also to take a broader view of its schemes, how well the states are functioning, and what are the points where the central schemes lack in implementation and what are the sore points. So all these are ironed out. The connection, hundreds of thousands of crores of rupees which the government allocates for the public welfare schemes, which many far-flung areas in the states have to implement those. So how far they reach the common people, how far people benefit from them, that remains the basic highlight or basic idea behind such conferences.
So, for our listeners, what do we mean by cooperative federalism? And as the Honorable Prime Minister said, and which you were just mentioning, that the governors have to and can and shall act as a bridge between the president as well as the state government, also between the center and the state government. So, what is cooperative federalism and how important it is in today's dynamic world?
Since we are in a federal structure where the center is ruling the length and breadth of the country, we also have states and union territories. Center and states, they have to work in tandem. There are many subjects on which states have an upper hand and they have to implement those schemes, be it health, be it education. And then we have state list and concurrent list in our constitution. So we go by that, but the cooperation between center and states, which Prime Minister Modi had said about a decade ago, that the arms of the center are the states, and without states cooperation the federal structure cannot work. So in a loose sense of the term, you can understand cooperative federalism as the cooperation between the center and the states, which should be always at an excellent level. But we also know that political compulsions are there, and there are many states where you cannot have the same party ruling at the center and in the states. There are instances, there are examples where some friction can be seen, but overall, the states are the places where these central schemes need proper monitoring in implementation. So that is why it becomes very important that whenever Prime Minister says that we are doling out, we are giving so much of money and so much of central resources to the state governments, and it is the duty of the state governments to see that these schemes are implemented properly and timely, so that the benefits reach the desired communities. That is the basic idea behind this.
So the Honorable President had also mentioned about last mile deliveries, and as you've just said, that it's all about cooperation, it's about interdependence, it is also about how well the state and the central governments are working with each other. What exactly is the role of governors in this whole scenario, and how important do governors become in today's era where we need all the services to reach each and every nook and corner of the country, and we also want that every part of the planning should be very well implemented?
Governors are, as we have in the scheme of things, the president is the head of the state. So governors head that unit in state. So governors are chosen as experienced administrators. They may be very experienced and seasoned retired bureaucrats or very senior politicians. So the governors can play a vital and important role in an advisory capacity. And the constitution also lays down the same kind of duties for the governors, that all important cabinet decisions of the Council of Ministers in a state will be communicated to the governors. Governors will give assent to the bills. Governors will oversee the swearing in of a new government. So all these constitutional functions are there, but as we are evolving into a modern democracy, in a participative democracy, inclusive democracy, so it becomes very important that Raj Bhavans also play a proactive role. That is what this government has been stressing upon. President Murmu also highlighted this, that the Raj Bhavans should be open to common public, and the connection between the Vice President Dhankar said the information channel between the state governments and the governor should always be open. We have seen some states where such friction was there and the matter has even reached Supreme Court. So that is a very undesirable or development where constitutional matters reach the Supreme Court and differences are such that cannot be sorted out between the state government and the governors. So governors' role in some of the states becomes very, very important, because we have many states in the border areas, whether it is Jammu Kashmir, Rajasthan, northeastern states, where internal security becomes a very, very vital issue. So governors should keep their eyes and ears open for any signal which they receive from the central agencies and from agencies on the ground. These are the roles which a governor can play in ensuring that the state administrative machinery is always on the alert mode and it is attuned to the welfare of public. As President Murmu said, you were talking about last mile, delivery of government schemes. So she laid a special stress, highlighted the need for women self-help groups and scheduled areas and scheduled tribes, their participation and in the inclusive development. So governors can reach out to them, and she stressed that this outreach by the Raj Bhavans is a welcome step and it should be encouraged, and governors should give priority having a dialogue with the common people and throwing the doors of Raj Bhavans open for social and cultural interactions. How will governor know? How governor will know? Only through their interactions with not only with the state government but with the common people. So that is the highlight of President Draupadi Murmu's concluding address yesterday on Saturday to the governors conference.
So there was one term which was used quite often by you, as well as which was used in the conference, that is inclusion. And variety and high experienced background. They might be seasoned politicians, they could be very high ranking bureaucrats or administrative officials who are given the higher responsibility of becoming a governor later and in assisting the state governments. As one of the examples from the conference that we've seen is for example, the governor of Gujarat, Sri Acharya Devvrat, had asked to emulate the scheme of natural farming in other states, because natural farming is doing very well in Gujarat. So how often can these dialogues take place, and how important is that we do take cues from other governments and other models which are being implemented at various places in the country, so that we can learn from them and we can take the best of those ideas and implement them in various parts of the country.
President Murmu also stressed upon that the best practices of some of the states, we can always see that one state has excelled in implementation of public welfare schemes and programs and inclusive development. So the best practices should be followed, emulated by other states. In some states, you find that, you took example of natural farming. It may be very good in one state, but the other states, resources may not be there for natural farming. So you can have this bouncing of ideas takes place in such conferences during the brainstorming. So you can come up with this idea, and other states, other governors can give suggestions to their respective state governments that such and such state is doing very well in this natural farming. So why can't we do that? So there may be some areas where these practices can be followed. And similarly, there was this question of digitization and opening of Raj Bhavans for the common people having social and cultural interaction. So digitization is one area where government has laid great stress on. So Raj Bhavans, how can they help in digitizing their own administrative structure, encouraging the state governments to do the same? These can be seen as are workable on the ground. Best practices can be followed from one state to another state, and if there are some coastal states, their problem will be different. If there are some landlocked states, their problems are different. Some border states, their stress is more on ensuring internal security and seeing that the state administration doesn't suffer on account of, like we have seen in Jammu and Kashmir, infiltration and other terror incidents. So their needs and their requirements and their approach may be different from, let us say, northeastern states. So since India is such a diverse and big country, so we have to learn from each other's experiences. What are the best practices, and see that all these women self-help groups and deprived communities, tribals, how can they become partners in the process of development, which can be accelerated further in the years to come.
So the Honorable Prime Minister had talked about the Panch Pran, the 5 vows, in which one of the pran was removing the colonial symbols. Even the Honorable President talked about the same in terms of opening of Raj Bhavan to the youth, more public visits, more symposiums, more seminars, including the youth in all the programs, and most importantly, a reflection of Indian ethos in all the Raj Bhavans. How important is this for the youth of the country, and how far will this go in not just removing the colonial symbols, but India coming into its own and giving its own solutions, its own innovations to the world?
This becomes important in the sense that, as I said, that India is a very diverse country, and needs of and requirements of one state is different from other. So the Indian ethos, what was true 60 years ago, what Britishers told us to follow, may not be true at all, and we are evolving our own systems of governance. So those systems need to be well oiled, and that machinery needs to be smoothened so that these benefits, the fruits of development, reach till the last mile, people on the last step of the ladder.
Sir, thank you so much for giving us your valuable time and making this discussion an enriched one. Thank you so much for being here in the studios of Akashvani.
Thank you, Vaibhav.
You were listening to a discussion on significance of Conference of Governors in strengthening cooperative federalism. The participants were Vinay Kumar, political analyst, and Vaibhav J. Srivastava, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsttalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.